Alright guys, we're breaking down a chicken today. Disclaimer, this chicken, the breastbone was broken, so terrible example. There's a lot of other videos out there showing you how to break down a chicken, disassemble, all that, debone. This is just going to be my video right now where I'm at. I've probably broken down a dozen, maybe a dozen and a half birds, turkeys included, all that, for the holidays, up till now. And so we're gonna break down a chicken. You're gonna see me remove thighs, legs, wings, wing tips, and the breasts from the carcass. And then I will add the carcass, wingtips, extra skin that comes off, probably from the breasts. I'll freeze those just to use those in a stock later, probably another week or two. And then I will separate wings, thighs, all that, put them on a sheet tray, and we will dry brine those, put them in the fridge for another 24 hours, something like that. And bake those off either tomorrow or whatever I'm feeling, make a compound butter. That's kind of our routine during the weekend to do that. And then, yeah, if I go ahead and break down another bird, I'll probably make a stock soon. Comment down below if you want to see me make a video of kind of what my chicken stock, chicken broth looks like. On kind of a regular monthly basis. I probably make a stock once a month, maybe once every 3 weeks, depending on if I'm getting wings, if if I've broken down more than one bird, if I've got a turkey, things like that. That's pretty common in my routine of where I'm at. So comment below if you want to see that. Let me know if there's anything else you want to see. Technique, recipes, things like that, kind of what I do in my kitchen, anything really, storage, different containers, utensils, things like that, different equipment that I'm using here in the kitchen. Let me know in the comments, and I'll definitely make a video for you guys. So let's get started. We're gonna break down a chicken. All right, let's break down this bird. The first thing you want to do is just look at the packaging, make sure it's all good. I'm actually going to cut this bird out of the packaging in my sink, but you're probably going to want to see that. So let me grab the camera, set you up. We are here at the sink, and I'm just going to cut the chicken out of the packaging, drain as much water out of the chicken as possible. You would see me take the chicken out over the sink. I'm not washing the chicken. I'm not trying to get chicken juices everywhere. I just don't want a huge mess on my counter. So you can see me kind of flipping the bird around, getting as much liquid out of the inner cavity as possible. And I'm taking the bird back over to my cutting board, setting it down, getting rid of the packaging, all of the juice, and now I'm washing my hands. I'm washing my hands because any chicken juice that gets on my sink or on me when I'm cutting my chicken, I just want to make sure everything's sanitized and clean. So bring it back over to the countertop and see I've got my bird sitting here. I've got the couple paper towels, just trying to dry off the bird as much as possible. I don't need this thing bone dry, but I don't want an excess amount of water coming out of my chicken. So remove the paper towels. I am patting this guy down. He's got some layer of skin on top. Depending on where you get your bird, you might have like feathers, a few feathers in it still, and you just tear those out. Same with this like top layer of skin that just didn't look that great. So I'm picking that off, and then I will throw away the paper towels, and we'll get going. You can see me just kind of looking at the bird, kind of checking it out, making sure everything is good to go. And I'm cutting this guy on a cutting board just big enough to fit the bird, and then I've got another cutting board, you can see a plastic one, just to kind of set the pieces as I break down my chicken. I'm feeling around here, and I'm now noticing that the breastbone is broken there, so you can kind of see me poke around at that. And now I'm making small, precise, semi-precise cuts along the line where my thigh would attach to my breast. I'm removing the skin. I'm popping that thigh bone up from the bottom to expose the bone so I can see where the joint is. Cutting down one side, then you'll see me cut down the other side of the chicken thigh just to remove the leg and the thigh. Now, because I'm right-handed, I gotta turn the bird around and I will cut the other guy off. And I'm trying to make small cuts. I don't want to tear the skin. I don't want to rip anything with my bare hands. You can see me here kind of, again, pop that thigh bone up so it just exposes the joint, and then I'm going to trim the skin around it, and I'm going to do the exact same thing I did on the other side, just to find the bone, find the joint, cut through the joint, and remove the thigh and leg without moving too much of the meat of the breast meat, and keeping the skin intact as much as possible, because I'll end up using that later, or I will just cook the skin on the meat in the oven, depending on just kind of what I'm doing. Here you can see I turned the bird around just so I can get a better angle at the wings, and I'm just gonna really use gravity. From what I've seen from other videos, gravity really helps kind of get you in there and removing the wings from the bird. You can see me twisting and pulling, looking at different angles on where that joint is, and then not tearing too much of the skin and the meat, or at least leaving too much of the meat and skin on the carcass, because I want that with the wing. So you can see me doing that to the other side. This side came out a little bit easier than the other one. Once you get used to, dealing with chicken wings, their thighs, breaking them down, they definitely get a lot easier. You should have seen my first bird. It did not look good. So I'm just feeling around, turning the carcass around, exposing the breastbone that is broken, really trying to figure out what the best way to cut the breasts off the bone would be. Because normally you would cut just alongside the breastbone to expose the bone, remove the breast, and it kind of just slides right off in a way. And maybe I'll make another video that just kind of shows that part a little bit better. But you can see me kind of struggle here, find where the bone is, or what's left of the bone, and then me trying to remove the chicken breast as carefully as possible, removing as much of the meat as possible. I don't want any of that left on the carcass, because that meat is just it will flavor the stock when I make the stock from the carcass. But depending on what I'm doing, and really I want as much meat off of the carcass as possible. You can kind of see me cut down and around the carcass. You can see me kind of cutting the bones out and away from the breast meat, because the breastbone is broken. So I'm just cutting down the backside of the breast underneath it, and that breast should just come right off. And you'll see that there is a little bit of skin on the breast, and I'm trying to decide if I want to leave it or if I want to keep it. And here I just decided to take the skin off of my breast. I'm probably just gonna make like a fried chicken breast, chicken katsu, something like that. And so I'll keep the breast, or I'll keep the skin of the chicken breasts, and I'll put that in my stock, or I will remove that and I'll render that down to get some chicken fat from that, and I'll use the chicken fat to cook with later on. So here, turning the bird around, I can get a better angle, really looking to see right now where my breastbone is. I can't really find it that well, so I'm just making small cuts kind of where I think the breastbone is, and shaving that chicken breast away from the bone. Now I'm making some small cuts, trying to turn it around, trying to decide what angle is best to remove the meat, because I can, now that a lot of the bird is kind of taken apart, I can really kind of throw this guy around, and if I need to get into the breast from a different angle, I can easily do that now. You can see me struggling a little bit here, trying to decide if I can get as much of that breast meat off of the bone as much as I can without really destroying the integrity of the breast, because depending on what I want to do with it later, I might want that thing to be as fat as possible, and maybe some other application I wouldn't care so much. And you can see me showing you that breastbone is indeed broken there. This carcass is pretty ugly here, and I just grabbed another cutting board. I realized I didn't have enough room on both my cutting boards to kind of show you what I'm doing here, and so I'm gonna take off the skin of my second chicken breast, and the skin's pretty easy. It basically peels right off. There's a little membrane in between the skin and the meat, which all animals basically have, us included. So you'll see me put the skin with the skin. Now I've got two naked chicken breasts, and I'm just kind of feeling around, making sure I didn't miss anything, any weird cartilage, joints, anything like that. I've got two breasts, two wings, I've got my thighs and legs, and now I'm trying to decide if I want to remove the legs from the chicken thigh, and I think I do. Sometimes I don't, just kind of depending on what I'm using this for. If it's just like a roasted chicken dinner, I'll just leave them together and roast them together in the oven, and then I can cut them afterwards, which they'll basically fall apart once you kind of wiggle the joint together, or apart, separate from each other. Yeah, that's the right word. But here I'm looking at where my leg and my thigh connect to each other, where that joint is, and I'm trying to cut through the joint without hacking away at like the tips of where the bones meet in the joint, because you'll find that if you don't exactly know where the joint is, you can kind of cut the edges of those bones off, and then you end up with like bone pieces, I call them bone spurs, in your chicken, and you don't want that. So I found the angle. Once you cut enough of these, you'll kind of know the angle. I thought about deboning the chicken thighs, decided not to, and I'll leave the skin on these guys. I love the chicken skin on the thighs, and so you can see right here. There's a little fatty connective tissue line right there, right between the thigh and the leg, and that's where you're supposed to cut. So if you see that little connective tissue line cut right there, leg will separate from the thigh super easy. So I'm just trying to decide how I want to arrange this for the camera so you can see I've got 2 thighs, 2 legs, 2 breasts, 2 wings, and now I'm gonna decide if I want to cut the wingtips off. And I did. I cut the wingtips off. You can see my wings, thighs, legs are on a tray, and the carcass and the breasts I've packaged. You can see them here. They're going in Ziploc baggies to store for later. And I'm putting this on a rack. Sometimes I don't put it on a rack, sometimes I do, sometimes I use foil, sometimes I don't. It just kind of depends on the day, especially if I'm just dry brining and it's not going directly in the oven. And I'll decide that probably tomorrow. Here I'm labeling everything that goes into my fridge, always date. Labeling is fun. Sometimes I'll add a smiley face or a star, or if I know it's, meal prepping and I'm making a meal for my girlfriend or something, maybe I'll write something cute. I'm not that creative, but maybe I'll think of something in the future. So here I've got salt. Really like pink Himalayan salt. I think it has a little bit different flavor. I always keep my salt in a container, an airtight container that I can kind of grab a pinch and put it on whatever I need to, whatever I'm seasoning. And that's just me cooking from feel rather than using a recipe. So as much as I can kind of handle my food, my seasoning, my spices, the better I think my food comes out, because I'm a little bit more consistent with that. Even if maybe my chicken was bigger, if I use the same amount of salt for a bigger bird as I did the smaller bird, it would be under seasoned. So I am liberally seasoning this chicken: salt, pepper. Remember, this is going to sit in my fridge for 8, 12. Right now, these guys are probably going to sit in my fridge overnight, probably 24 hours roughly. And so that's going to get a lot of the moisture out of my chicken. All the salt will be able to absorb into the chicken and break down a lot of those proteins, tenderize the meat. Hey guys, if you made it to the end of the video, hope you enjoyed. Working on lighting, working on audio, working on video filming, editing, all that kind of stuff. If you have any helpful tips on lighting, on angles, definitely angles. Video I'm shooting just on my phone right now, looking at multiple cameras, just looking at the right setup for the small kitchen that I have. If you have any tips on filming or on audio, recording food photography, that kind of stuff, send me a message or comment down below. I'd really like to hear from you guys if you found something that works for you. Cooking in a small kitchen, that'd be super helpful. I know other people watching videos on YouTube are always interested in what other people are doing, as far as photography, video, food film, food photography, that kind of stuff, editing. And if you use any sort of program on video editing, let me know for sure. That'll be super helpful. That'll help create better content for you guys, and it's always good learning something new. So I will talk to you guys in the next video. See ya.